Welcome everyone to a new gameplay series on Distant Worlds Universe, at long last. So I have a big tutorial series for this on my channel, and it's been very popular. And I've kept saying, yeah, I'm gonna do a Let's Play series on this, and finally here we are. Anyways, this game is pretty complex. If you haven't played it before, that's why I made the tutorial series, because I feel like once you can get beyond the initial beginner's learning curve, the game is so rewarding. I would easily call this my favorite 4X space strategy game, and if that sounds like a lot of conditionals added in there, that's still a relatively big category. With maybe an exception to Aurora 4X, I feel like Aurora 4X does some things a little bit better, but just the total lack of real graphics in that game make it a little difficult to be immersed in. And sometimes being able to just see the graphics, even if they're not incredibly detailed or they're not AAA, it's still really satisfying to see ships shooting at each other, which you have to imagine all that stuff in Aurora 4X. I'm not saying that's bad, I'm just saying it's different and it's potentially less immersive. Now, for this game, I've decided to set up the theme of Honorverse. This is based on David Weber's series on Honor Harrington. It's a pretty good series. I would say it's at least the first 5 books are really good, and I would recommend reading them. Unfortunately, I find his writing style gets a little bit stale towards the end, as sometimes these authors do. I really miss the days when like a trilogy was something that would happen, that authors weren't afraid to just write a trilogy and then create a new universe. Seems like that's really kind of fallen off, and now everyone wants to make 15 books. But okay, let's leave all that aside. This will be based somewhat on the Honorverse, which is what I'm going to call the universe in which this book series is written. If you know nothing about Honorverse, you will be like no worse off for understanding the game mechanics, because this is my own mod. I mean, Honorverse is just something I created, and the only thing I've done is just change the names of the ship categories. So there's a big focus on dreadnoughts, super dreadnoughts in the Honorverse. So I made that its own category. Instead of having the 5 military ship categories are typically escort, frigate, destroyer, cruiser, capital ship, I've just kind of spread these apart in different. It's not going to make any gameplay difference, but I just call them something different for my own flavor and for the flavor of the Honorverse. It'll be frigate, destroyer, cruiser, battleship, dreadnought. And, naval, from a naval ship perspective, battleship and dreadnought, they really are both capital ships and probably more or less the same thing. If you know the Rule of Ways series that I do, those are almost interchangeable. I mean, they're definitely the same class or category, or I don't know how to say it. But I spread them apart because in the Honorverse, those are very distinct things. The dreadnoughts can easily eliminate battleships, battleships can easily eliminate cruisers, and so on and so forth. So just to kind of help out with the theme. That's all this is, the theme. I won't be playing with any other mods. Mods I would recommend just casually are the Improved AI and the Extended Universe. Those are really good mods, but just because sometimes I don't like it when people put a bunch of mods on their game and I'm not sure if I'm watching true gameplay or modded gameplay. So in other words, just to help people get into Distant Worlds, this will be almost like another tutorial. Like you've watched the tutorial, now you can see what a real Let's Play looks like. And there's plenty of other good people who have done Let's Plays on this. The most notable, of course, is Larry Monte. He has some great series. The most recent one did not really. It's kind of where he died off. I mean, his channel has come to a conclusion as far as we can tell. It's been a while that he's been inactive. But, okay, putting all that aside, here's the game options we'll be using. I've actually made a universe and I had to edit it a little with the Galactic Editor to get things correct, like even simple things like getting the correct empires to have the correct colors. However, this is the option that I created that universe with, and I didn't really change anything. I didn't really change much beyond these settings. Just some empire things. I added a bunch of money to the Solarian League because they should be the most powerful, so hopefully that kickstart helps them become one of the more powerful empires. So anyway, we're going to do even clusters. Although on further thought, irregular might have been the better option. This is just a random dispersion of stars. But even clusters is nice. when you're doing a real gameplay, because it's really nice to have choke points and stuff. And although it's definitely a realistic part, at least also of Honorverse, to not know where the enemy's going to come, that can be a little overwhelming when you're playing a game and not dealing with reality like Honorverse is, or intended to be. So we'll be doing even clusters, and I try to set this up so it somewhat mirrors the galactic layout of the Honorverse. So we should have the Havenites to the top right. We'll be in the dead center, just because that's more or less where they have the Kingdom of Manticore in the books. And anyways, I'll get through all these in a second, but even clusters, 400 stars, 8x8 sectors. So we're about at the default ratio of stars per sector. Pre-warp, as always. Restless, and I'm only going to do very hard. I'm not going to do extreme. So this will just be a very hard playthrough. I think we could still have some challenge in this. So that'll be fun. But there was I can't even remember. There's a reason why I chose not to do extreme. And I no longer remember what it was. But that's okay. If I remember why there's a reason why I'm not doing extreme, I'll let you know. Research cost, I'm actually doing in between expensive and very expensive, 320. Expensive is 240, very expensive is 480. So 320 is kind of in the middle of those. I find very expensive slows down the gameplay a little too much, but since I'm going to be very research focused, as most human players are, real people, not AI, because there is a human race, but I don't mean that. So as most of the people who play this game are going to focus on research, I will as well. No space creatures, because that doesn't fit into the Honorverse. And I think there's few pirates, and they're very weak in the Honorverse, so that's what I'm going to choose. Colony prevalence is normal, independent life is normal. I think the option should be here instead of on the other screen where it is, but independent alien life can form its own empire. So we may have different other empires spawn into existence, and I think that that's perfectly fine. I'll leave you to speculate why I set my sector distance for max colonization range to 1.414, but I rounded it up to 1.42. So simply put, I want to be able to get from any point in one sector to any other point in that sector and be able to colonize it. So I set that to some kind of geometric number. Well, I guess it's trigonometric number. Now, everybody in the Honorverse is human, but I think that would be a little boring. So I tried to match up different races with the different personalities that the different empires have in the Honorverse. The Kingdom of Manticore is somewhat modeled off the British Empire. That's why it's the Kingdom of Manticore, and not like, even though it's functionally a democracy. So we'll be playing as the Kiadians. There's a couple reasons why I think this is better than the humans. So I'm still trying to make a lot of people humans, but they have 15% better spies and 15% better research. The Kiadians have 20% better research, and instead of being good at spying, they have ship maintenance. Now the Kingdom of Manticore has slightly better research than the other empires, so that's why I gave them this. And they also have an economic bonus. That's because of the geography of the universe in that universe, but in order to get that kind of bonus into the game, we'll be choosing this ship maintenance minus 10%. Should help us out a little bit. Another thing is in the wars, because of their technology bonus, one of the ways this is manifested most is that they have really good countermeasures in the books. So it's really convenient that the Kiadians also have their special technology is countermeasures. So that's what we'll be playing as. And I'm doing a few other races that are not even human at all, like the Masadans and the Havenites, who are kind of the bad guys, just to give those guys more of an evil persona. We'll be playing as a democracy, although probably in a second I'll come back and mess all this up, but we'll be doing an excellent start. I did us in the center, because I wanted us to be in the dead center. Starting for our size, we don't want more than one colony. Pre-warp, low corruption, democracy, this is all good. This is my best guess is what the Kingdom of Manticore has. I think it's green, so that's what our primary color will be. And these are the other entities that exist in the Honorverse. The Havenite republics will be the Slucans because they're very aggressive, they're warlike, and that's going to be our main rival, as it is in the books. The Solarian League is kind of this. Think of like the American, like the view of the United States as like a world peacekeeping force, wanted or not. That's kind of what the Solarian League is. They're like the Kingdom of Manticore would be maybe like the British, Great Britain. Solarian League is like America, but in its peacekeeping, like post-Vietnam or Vietnam era type. That's the time frame that I'm trying to abstract the American, because American government in the last 300 years has played many different roles in the world stage. So I'm trying to think of in the last like 30 years, that's the American stage, the stage of America that the Solarian League corresponds to. The Silesian Confederacy is just kind of a disjointed group of colonies. A lot of piracy. I mean, you can think of this as like South America or Africa, where the laws are not always enforced. There's a lot of illegal stuff going on. So some areas bond together as a nation, but in general, as you travel from one part of the Silesian Confederacy to another, you're going through a lot of piracy and a lot of disjointed nations that don't really defend themselves well. Some of them are extremely corrupt, etc. The Andermani Empire is kind of like the Germans, pre-World War II Germany, pre-Hitler Germany. So the I just blanked on the name. The Wiener Empire. I can't remember the name. But the empire before World War I came to a close, basically. You can think of the Andermanis of that, like the Bismarck era. Not the battleship Bismarck, but the actual person Bismarck type era. Protectorate of Grayson is an ally of the Kingdom of Manticore. So I'm trying to set them to be the Chaodians as well. That gives us a bonus, I think, interacting with each other. And they'll also be a democracy like us. These are all things that I'm trying to make us more friendly towards each other. So they're the only other Chaodians. The Andermanis and the Solarians will be human. The Silesians I've left as Securans, which actually have a real benefit, a real bonus towards other people in terms of diplomatic bonus. And that's not really accurate, but I wanted to make them kind of this harmless unit because they don't have a military force worth really considering in the books. So that's what I want, because they're not unified. So that's why I wanted to make them the Securans, who are a little bit... If I go into these guys, you'll see what I mean. So let's start with the Slucans. They're very warlike, very aggressive. Their main bonuses are to troop maintenance, war wariness. They have starburner engines, which are not very efficient in terms of energy usage, but very efficient in terms of thrust per size. And we have the Mortalans, I think, is what I chose. I chose them to be the Boscarans, the Masada Theocracy, the only one I haven't mentioned here. Oh, I already forgot. Who did I choose for them? I'll see it in a second. The Boscarans. These guys are kind of like religious extremists who have formed their own colony. And they, for example, in the books, they're trying to nuke another planet because the planet, even though it's more or less the same religion, somewhat disagrees with them. So really, really extremists and terrorists almost. So I've chosen an even more warlike race. Very reckless, extremely aggressive. And their main thing is the torpedo weapons, which I find appropriate for a empire that's trying to nuke another one from the Honorverse. Whoops. Let's see what other ones we need to cover. So the Securans, we'll just look at that briefly, just to give you an idea of, or even to refresh my own wonder. Yeah, they have higher tourism. That probably doesn't make sense, but we'll leave it in. They have increased friendliness, population growth. I kind of like this. I still think it's going to make a unique dynamic to our galaxy. So let me go back to Chaodians myself. And again, choose democracy. So there we have it. And I've set these guys all up to be in specific areas. So Havenite, top right. Solarian is middle bottom. Silesian is top left. Andermani is just to the left. Protectorate of Grayson is to the right. And the Masada Theocracy I have just to the top. So nobody technically is into the bottom left. Now this is, again, the settings I set for creating the initial galaxy. And I did create several until I got a layout that appeared to be more or less correct. Wow, got craziness going on. Sorry about that. But I'm just going to actually load into a game which has already been created. And that's the one we're actually going to use. Here she is. Alright, so if I do this pause on pause real fast, you can see that it is exactly the first day of this universe that this galaxy is created. Usually it's on 01, 06, or 07, or 08. So we haven't even advanced a single day. And this is the layout of our galaxy. So we can expect the Havenites, maybe the Masadans over here, maybe the Graysons somewhere over here. I don't know where exactly. The Silesians should be over here. I mean, the best thing would be if the Silesians are here and the Andromani were here. Even though that's slightly rotated, this should be here and this should be here. It would function the same way. And I expect that the Solarian League will be down here. So that's how it is. That's how it's going to go. And I guess maybe Grayson is down here. Anyways, I've already edited things with the game editor to make the empires the correct colors. So like light blue for the Solarian League. I made the Andromanis red just because it's unique. Not that that's necessarily their color. I don't remember what color I made the Silesian. I really don't. Maybe yellow. The Masadans are a dark purple, and the Havenites, our main enemies, are going to be a light purplish pink, a bright purple pink. Then Grayson is going to be a dark blue compared to the light blue of the Solarian League. So those are the things we're going to look for, but we'll get all into that once we actually discover those people. So we're just starting out in our pre-warp era. You can think of this as in the books, in the Honorverse. All these people have left from Sol on very slow colony ships, and they've arrived places before they really developed faster than light technology. That's how we'll just address the issue. So again, there's not going to be any real Honorverse lore to this. The only difference that we have is if I go to all designs, state ships, the only difference we have is, let me go by size. Instead of having escorts, I have frigates. Instead of having the frigates here, so everything's just bumped up one. It's cruiser, destroyer, frigate in the middle. It used to be in the middle with escorts on the top and capital ships on the bottom. Now it's frigates on the bottom, then destroyer, then cruiser, then battleship is the next one, and then dreadnought is the last one. And very appropriately enough, I have chosen, or it looks like it is choosing for me, it looks like it's choosing British naming schemes, which is perfectly appropriate because that's exactly what the Kingdom of Manticore is modeled off of. So that's all done. We've finally finished our setup. The very first order of business on Manticore, so you can see I had to edit this, and there's two other stars or planets in here. We have Kiadia 3, I didn't edit that, I'll have to get back to that. And we have Griffin. So this should be Sphinx. The three planets in the home system for the Kingdom of Manticore are Manticore, Griffin, and Sphinx. So I have those three in here, even though I'll have to edit. Let's just edit this real fast. Get up here. And I hope I spell that correctly. Good, and close. So let's exit the editor, clear. Now everything's perfect. Great. So there it is. Let's start getting on to our... First of all, we need a station. And I might just design everything from scratch. The reason for doing that is I've made all my designs under the Actarians. That's my favorite race, the one I normally play as. But when you import the designs, unfortunately, it actually keeps the silly looking graphic for the Actarians. It doesn't... I mean, that actually makes sense. But when I save a design for one race, it doesn't switch that to the next race. So what we're going to do is choose this to be a large spaceport. Going to make it all weapons, it won't have weapons, but that's fine for now. We want this to only retrofit when manually ordered. And now we can design it from scratch ourselves, which may be interesting to some people. Maybe not. We're going to need 1 weapons plant per. Going to need at least 2 small fuel cells. Now, there's a trick. You can leave no cargo bays. I think it's fine because your cargo storage goes to the planet. But I'm not sure if there's a problem with latency, with throughput. So I'm going to put 2 cargo bays, which is probably more than enough anyway, just in case that throughput problem. I've never seen it addressed completely if there's a throughput issue. Otherwise, you have infinite storage on your planet, or at least massive storage. I don't remember what the finite limit is. We're going to need a command center. We're going to need a commerce center. We're going to need a construction yard. I think we'll just do 5 construction yards for now. That's plenty. I don't think we'll need to build more ships. Let's actually make 6. And let's make docking yards. Put 8 in there. I mean, I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. I don't exactly remember what I was going for. Okay, that looks all good. This is a pretty bare bones ship, or station, which is what we want. So let's go ahead and name this Home Port. I'm going to capitalize the port just because it's easier for me to see that way. Save that design. Very low maintenance. You can see this is only 700. It's good. It's good to me. Let's actually go over to state bases, and I want to delete. You know what? I'll leave it for now, but I'm probably not going to want these because I'll get confused eventually on the retrofits and stuff. It always seems to happen. So there's 2 ways we could do this. I could just tell Manticore itself, hey, you know what? Build me, construction, just build me one of those things. But if you control right click, I mean, you can actually choose where the station will go. Now I'm going to have a station which is a little bit on the top of the planet. Let's say right here. Build me home port. That's good. And then after that, we're going to queue up a research station. So let's go ahead and create a new research station. I'm going to choose energy research station as my template. You can choose any of them, but my research station is actually going to supply all 3 research types at the same time. You only need to worry about what role your your research station is if you're trying to enhance your research by putting a research station at like a gas giant, which gives you a bonus. It'll give you a bonus to only one of the types, so you have to make sure that the role of your station matches the bonus it gives you. Oh, as you can see, I can't get away from tutorializing, even in my Let's Play. So we want this to be pretty simple. And we're going to want... How we arrange these is going to impact the research prioritization. So if we put more labs on one of these, it's going to make that a higher priority for research. I don't think we need weapons very quickly, so I'm really going to severely undercut our weapons research to begin with. And I think energy is extremely important until you get hyperdrives. So that's going to be priority number 1. And then we'll just put high techs to 6. So 4, 6, 8. So this is your 2, 3, 4 configuration. I think this works pretty well. Okay, we need happen life. Looks like more than 1, more than 2, more than 3. What else are we missing? Oh yeah, we need command stuff. I usually sort this by category. That's why I'm all thrown off. 2 fuel cells. I thought I threw a command center in here. I guess I didn't click it. And we need a docking bay. This thing doesn't need many docking bays. I'm just going to give it, well, you know, honestly, we probably could just get away with 1. There's no reason for this thing to need anybody to dock, so let's just put 1 in there. And this will be called Research, with all capitals, Central. There we go. I think everything looks good there. So save, close, and now this one I'm going to have a little bit, you know, on the opposite side of the planet. I want them to kind of be able to protect each other, so I want them a bit close together. Usually I put them right on top of each other for min-max reasons, because that gives the best protection of the research station by my home planet station. my large spaceport. But it doesn't always look that good, and things can get crowded, so I'm just going to build them slightly apart. This is for aesthetics. It has nothing to do with min-max. So, Research Central, which actually is bigger in size than my large spaceport right now, but that won't be the case forever. With those two things built, we actually are done with what we need to do for our unpausing, except we need to take taxes down to 0. Yes, no taxes. This is just the fastest way to grow our population. So good. Now we can go ahead and speed this up to 4x until our large spaceport is built. And I think this will take about 2 months. I think sometime in the 3 this will be done. So just plow forward. And right before it finishes, we need to go ahead and build some escorts, an escort design. So looks like I'm gonna have to do it really soon. Let's go ahead and do it now. New design. So now we go to another one. We're just going to make this from scratch again. So I have all these things technically saved. And I'm doing this off memory. I do have a PDF, which I put on Reddit with all the fair stuff. Like, okay, this scout should have this design exactly. The whatever should have this. But what are we going to name this? We're going to name this EX. I think it'll be the EX Scout. That's how I'm going to do my things. So this will be DD or SD or BB. It'll have, or BC. It'll have all those designations in the first part for my military ships. Okay, and let's start getting to what it needs. A command center. Gonna need a lot of thrusters. Let's just put 7 or 8 on there for now. Gonna need a few directional thrusters, maybe only 2. Happen Life, I think I can get away with 2. Maybe even 1. I can't remember. 1 reactor. Fuel cells, we just need to get up to like 163. That seems about right. Maybe 1 more, I can't remember. And we need a profile sensor. Okay. Now begins the min-max business. 42 is pretty good. Maybe even get 1 more. How are we doing in terms of size? What is wrong with this thing? It is way, way too small. Okay. I don't know why. I seem to remember them being much bigger than the size of 110. Maybe I'm just crazy. Let's get another small fuel cell. Okay. But 44 is not bad. Let's try to add another one. 46. 48. Okay, so this is the limit. Around 122, somewhere around here is where we break. Oh gosh, we're so close. So technically I can get 1 more if I do this. Now, this has a very low turn rate. However, scouts without hyperdrive don't really need to turn very quickly. A lot of what they're doing is going to be just straight sailing. From one destination to another, they're going to spend a lot of time in cruise mode. So I think I like this. It's a pretty good design. It ekes in just under the limit for another life support and HAB, which is always good. We're finding that min-max plateau. Definitely has enough fuel to go there and back for wherever we need it. So that's good. So let's go ahead and save this as the Scout, the very first Mark 1. Now we also, while we're here, we might as well create a constructor as well. Construction ship. Why am I missing it? I know I've passed it probably 3 times by now. There it is. Okay, good. Manual refit. Get this guy in. Also needs probably about 8. 2, I'm guessing. Probably 3. Probably needs 2 reactors, but let's see if we can get away with 1. These guys will probably need 4 small fuel cells. They need a docking bay, right? Construction yard, that's it. Construction yard should be under construction. There it is. They need a minimum of 35% cargo storage, construction, and manufacturers. Oh yeah, they need the labs. So we need plant, plant, plant. I think it looks like we're going to need more happen life. Docking bays. Okay, we just get one of those. And a component cargo module. That makes sense. So it looks like even just having one cargo bay is enough, but I think we want two on this design. This is where I wish I had my PDF pulled up. There's an exact number of small cargo bays that is like the optimal. We're going to need some more fuel cells though. We need to at least be able to go 150%, I would say. That's a lot of small fuel cells. It makes sense. I think 13, that triggers some kind of recognition in my brain as being the right amount. Let's get this thing to go a little bit faster, though. It's just too gosh darn slow right now. 21. It's pretty darn slow still. Well, it looks like we're going to need another reactor. That's okay. And more happen life. So this is the the death spiral of adding more stuff on. Then you have to add more stuff on because you have more stuff. Okay, ion thrusters. Oh, great. Now we still need more happen life. Good lord, it's a lot of happen life. But we actually have to add more cargo just because we don't have enough ratios here. Ion, how many more can we get? Just trying to find when this jumps by more than one. It doesn't seem to ever jump by more than one. So we'll just take it up to 23. That's just going to be... These will be really slow constructors. I don't remember if this is correct or not. 150% seems okay, though. We only want the minimum number of cargo bays to be able to satisfy the requirement. 17. These guys do turn around a little bit more often. Nope, we can't even get one more. Whoops, no, not ion thrusters. What about directional? Oh, if we even add one more, we have to add another cargo, which is going to put us over the limit for another happen life. Well, it didn't change our turn rate at all, so forget it. Okay, so this will be CST constructor. Okay, construction ship. So CS. That's too much like Corvette, though. I'm not going to have Corvettes in here, though, so that's fine. Constructor. Very good. And this is the sign. I'm only going to use this for my state ships. So it should be really easy to pick out from a list. Okay, good. So save that, and we're done. So we'll let this thing finish now. Oh, there it is. I probably shouldn't have had this on 4X when that happened, but now we're going to go over to construction, get the Manticore spaceport, and you guessed it, we're going to get a whole bunch of these scouts. Probably just 2 or, let's see, how many anomalies do we have? 1, 2, how many ships do we have? 1, 2, and they're all in different areas. So 1, 2, I think sending out 3 is a good idea. 1 to this, 1 to this, and 1 to that. This is the one that's not, yeah, exactly, because we need to send a ship here as fast as possible, because that's available. It's just an abandoned ship available to whoever gets there first. So let's try to get there first before the pirates come. Okay, so we will get 3 in the end. We'll get 1 more of these. And we'll now also queue up for the planet a construction of a constructor. There it is. And I will go ahead and delete from the state ship's design their construction ship, because that will be confusing. And I might as well delete their, let's see, this has 384 maintenance. Mine has 406. My size is slightly bigger. My cost is just barely higher, but let's see, what is the difference? Their scout is 39, and my scout is 49. Okay, you know what? I'll pay an additional 20 for an additional 25% speed. So that works out for me. Delete the Pathfinder. And I'm not going to get any military ships yet, so we'll just leave those guys hanging out. I won't try to design a new ship quite yet. Very good. Well, that's going to bring this first episode to a close. So we've done the initial things. This is probably like 10 tutorial videos in one. But I hope you are going to enjoy this series. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to all the battles with the Havenites. So if you wouldn't mind, since this is the first video in a series, pressing the thumbs up or giving me that like button, whatever it is. I really appreciate that, just to make this video visible on YouTube. And then I don't ask after the first video. You can just do that only if you'd like to. It doesn't matter. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you for episode 2 soon.